As the saying goes, time changes everything. All this includes the type of people who have wealth in the New World Order. In fact, there appears to be a bit of a divide in society today between those who have always had money and those who are new to the millions that they currently possess. But what are the true differences between these two types of wealthy people? Or is there no reason to differentiate between them at all? Well, whether you have an interest in getting to know people or just want to know as much as possible about the effects that money has on our generation, stay right where you are, as we're about to explore the differences between new and old money. So, strap yourselves in and get ready for a bumpy ride, as things are about to get interesting. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. 1. Investment strategy. The first major difference between old and new money is the perception people from these different groups have of the world, and more specifically, investment opportunities. When it comes to new money, the focus is always on the here and now. The questions that are asked before investing concern the short-term returns that can be made from investing high and fast. As the mantra goes, you have to invest while the money is hot. Putting this in different terms, it can be said that the new money tends to play a high-risk, high-return game, which is why quite a few people from this group end up either bankrupt or on an island somewhere sipping on cocktails. Old money, on the other hand, is less about risk and more about patience. More often than not, people from this group tend to make investments that are considered to be long-term in as so far their returns are concerned. This group has always had money after all, so there is absolutely no need to take major risks. Patience is either when you don't have to hustle, in other words. And it's not for this reason that those who form part of the old money group often stay away from the temptation of rapid returns and instead invest in sure things, ensuring their place on that island we just spoke about. 2. Spending habits. These two groups of wealthy people are also incredibly different when it comes to their spending habits. Go look through the homes of a technological genius and old school heiress, and you'll find yourself in two different worlds altogether. This is because people with new money, as opposed to old money, like to make their purchases according to the newest trends. Those who have new money often want to show off their wealth, as they come from a place where money wasn't always a certainty. This is why they make sure that they spend as much as possible on flashy clothes, wild vehicle customizations, and the latest in technological innovation. Funny enough, it's also the spending habits of these groups that finds them a place on social media, garnering a number of fans who can't wait to see what they buy next. And since a solid social media following leads to brand deals and other forms of remuneration, new money is able to grow their net worths by investing in these purchases. People with old money, on the other hand, often want less to do with what is trending and prefer to make their purchases in accordance with the tradition of the times. In other words, people from this group are often set in stone when it comes to their spending habits. They already have a list of legacy brands, automobiles, hotels, and resorts where their families have spent their money over the last few decades, and refuse to change things up out of fear of having a bad time. Once again, there is very little risk when it comes to the spending habits of people with old money, who prefer to have a good time doing what they are used to doing or buying. This method of purchasing things based on tradition is also often backed up by the employment of old money in businesses and companies that their families have run for generations. The same cannot, however, be said about those who have new money, who often find exciting ways to grow their net worths that are completely new in a variety of industries. So, while old money would prefer an employment opportunity where they are paid in gold, new money would prefer to be paid in cryptocurrency. 3. Talking the talk. The next difference that is often exhibited between those who have new and old money is the frequency that these wealthy individuals talk about the money that they have. When it comes to the grouping of new money, the fact that they are earning stacks of cash is considered to be pretty exciting. If you have increased your net worth by close to 1,000%, you definitely want the world to know about it. And this is why those who find themselves classed as new money prefer to talk about their bank accounts as much as possible. To really get a grasp on this concept, all you need to do is watch YouTube vlogs for under 10 minutes. You're sure to come across a newly rich YouTuber who is flexing his wealth on his subscriber, who for some reason or another absolutely love to see it. People who form a part of the old money group, on the other hand, come from a time where financials were often not spoken about. Since you were considered to have ill manners if you flexed back in the day, old money often teaches their kids that speaking about their financial positions is taboo. Strangely enough, it's almost as if people with old money are ashamed of just how much money they have. The true reason behind this is that people often treat you differently if you have money, and those with old money are almost used to people trying to exploit them for some of their net worth. A similar trend can be seen when it comes to looking for love. Those with new money like to not only flex that they have the latest things, but the most attractive partners. And while this is sometimes true for those who come from old money, the partners they seek are often more experienced in the art of care. Unfortunately, this is often due to the fact that these individuals often felt ignored by their parents, who worked hard to earn the money they currently have. It's a bit sad if you think about it, but for that amount of money, we definitely wouldn't mind. 4. Attitude towards exposure. Another stark difference between the two groups has to do with recreation and how they appear to the rest of the world. Those who form part of new money grew up in a time when sports were incredibly popular. Like other regular people, they played what most consider to be ordinary sports at school and grew up enjoying the same things as most of us do. This is why those with new money often find themselves sitting courtside when it comes to an important NBA game or F1 race. And you can bet your bottom dollar that this has just as much to do with their enjoyment of the game as it has to do with the impression they give to fans. As we said earlier, new money likes it when people know that they actually have money. And what better way to show the world that you are a rich celebrity than by buying yourself some courtside seats and sitting in a line of rap artists and celebrity influencers. This stands in complete contradiction to the exposure that those in the old money group like to deal with. At the very most, we might find a few of these people courtside at Wimbledon, but to most in the old money grouping, mainstream sports are a bit too democratic and accessible to everyone. They have often grown up playing things like polo and croquet, for example, and will thus prefer a solid round of golf at the country club rather than showing off their wealth at a basketball game. This is especially true if the country club in question is invite only. As you can imagine, those with old money love the concept of exclusivity, so they would much rather spend a few moments in private amongst their rich friends than slumming it with us normal folks. 5. The movement rate. Similar to the trend we saw in investing, those with new money prefer to move fast, while those with old money take it slow as much as possible. Since the grouping of new money is, well, new to the world of financial gain, they can't help but tick off their to-do lists and throw another accomplishment on the pile to increase their net worths even more. The speed at which they work and use social media to further themselves is pretty impressive and can only be described as quick. Those with old money, on the other hand, are used to the concept of relaxation. As we said earlier, money has always been in the family, with a great deal of them never having to work a solid day in their lives. This is why the pace of life of someone from this group is often a lot slower. This is also why you'll find more people from the old money category volunteering and doing charity work, traveling to exotic locations, and hosting a slew of parties. There is nothing else on the agenda other than chilling by the pool. In other words, which is why they prefer a life of constant vacationing. 6. The use of publicity. There is a large difference when it comes to the attitudes of old and new money to publicity. If you've ever heard of the phrase, money talks, but wealth whispers, you'll know precisely what we mean here. You see, those who find themselves as part of the new money group often love the attention that publicity brings with it. Not only does it inform the rest of the world just how successful they are, it also allows them the opportunity to speak about their new projects and business ventures, making more money in the process. The same can be said about their use of social media platforms, which most would argue is self-publicity. People who are classed as old money, on the other hand, prefer not to participate in most forms of publicity. In fact, there have even been instances where heirs and heiresses have paid not to be included in Forbes magazine. So it would seem as if old money is more concerned with keeping themselves below ground. We used to think this was because new money cared about what people thought of them, while old money couldn't care less. But we have our doubt. It could be that those with old money want to hold on to what they have. And if people remember them, the call for further donations and the like may be greater. What do you think about these differences? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below.